Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's Top 5 Camps. Let me tell you, right, I know I say this a lot, but this time around is absolutely nuts. It's been a right madness. Summit builds that have been submitted, I mean, you're going to see for yourself in a second anyway. It's absolutely unreal. Now, as ever, we're just going to show all the builds in no particular order, and then at the end, we're going to attempt to rank them. Yeah, that is not going to be an easy feat, but we've got to do it. We have got to do it. Let's kick it off with Radrook's Toxic Tavern build. This thing is amazing. I mean, just take a ganders at that, guys. Really, really cool looking build in a pretty surprising camp location, actually. I'm not a massive fan at Cocaine Valley, but I think this build fits in perfectly with it. Do you know what it is in my own little headcanon? It's a Ghoul bar, and that's Ghoul spelt G-E-W-L, as we all know. And I get that idea just from little things like the pump that seems to be putting the toxic water from the lake into the bar itself so it can be served to customers. Yeah, exterior-wise, camp location-wise, 10 out of 10 from me, 100%. I mean, look at the shape of it as well. It's just so bloody cool. But even exterior design aside, the levels of detail on the interior and the decor, it's absolutely mad, man. All the merges that Rooks has used and just the sheer amount of time this must have taken to put together. It is absolutely incredible. I love this build. I love the filming of it. I love how bright it is. Like I say, I am a fan of the camp location, surprisingly. Top job. Rooks, this thing is insane. One of my favourite camps of the week by far. But we've come to expect that from yourself. You always put out a decent build, and this is definitely up there with some of your best, in my opinion at least anyway. Radrooks, thank you very much for entering this week. Congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. So for our second build, we have the Miniature Museum by Cowin Baby. Now, I can already hear you. Yeah, the people that have been here for a while. TNG, it's a shelter build. What's this doing in the top 5 camp competition? Well, allow me to elaborate, mon petit fleurs. Basically, shelters can be submitted, as can camps with primarily shelters as their main feature. However, these kind of builds are limited to an honourable mention only. So yes, Cowin Baby, this build is going to be an honourable mention, despite how amazing this thing is. But let's not get hung up on positioning at the moment. Let's actually take a look at the magnificence that Cowin has created here. Now, for the less astute of you that are watching, if the title didn't give it away, this is a museum built in a shelter, which primarily focuses on miniature displays. Now, don't get it twisted, right? I know there is relaxed build restrictions inside of shelters, but this is still not an easy thing to put together. Just having the brains to come up with what items to use to pull this off, it is quite impressive. What Cowin has done here is not just one single miniature display. They've done loads. There is loads of different scenes here. We've got a nice winter scene. I love how you've used pictures to create the forest around it as well. We've got a crashed UFO in the farmlands here, which again, I like how you've merged a little flame or fire into the UFO as well there. Nice little touch. We've got a cityscape. There's a White Springs display. In total, I think there's actually 11 separate displays in here. Now, I don't have time to go through all of them in this video. I urge you to actually go over to Cowin Baby's channel and watch the full thing for yourself. But rest assured, every single one of these displays has had time, love, and a sheer amount of creativity put into them. Yes, this may be a shelter, but it's definitely one of my favourites of the week. Cowin Baby, thank you very much for submitting this time around, and congratulations on the honourable mention position. Very well deserved. Onwards we march. For our third camp this week, we have the Cartographer's Cove by Moonlight Cowboy. Right, so where do we start with this thing? I do know that this is a new camp location, one that I have not been to yet because I've not actually played the game in a few months, to be honest with you. So I can't tell you how hard it is to actually build here, but getting anything to fit in rocks nicely like Moon has pulled off, it can be quite tricky. There is some areas of terrain that are very forgiving, but it's not always a guaranteed. Again, I can't comment on what it's like doing that here, but I imagine it wasn't a walk in the park. So fair play to you, Moonlight, for making the build so incorporated into the landscape. What's bloody brilliant? Oh shit, yeah, of course there's water here as well, isn't there? So yeah, that adds another layer of complexity. Again, you can build in water, but there is some water that is just, it's just a nightmare. Items getting stuck under it and whatnot. But anyway, yeah. Overall, Moon, exterior-wise, I love this. The structure itself looks bonnet. The landscaping that you've done around it looks quite natural. But the way you've managed to actually fit it into that cliff face, that's what stood out to me. Again, not the easiest thing to do, but I think this has turned out amazing, Moon. Gorgeous looking build. Great use of this location. Now, on the interior side of things, right, I know I say this about every single one of Moonlight Cowboy's builds, yeah, but he does have a trademark style with his interiors. This one's the same. This one's the same. Very clean, very modern. Nice custom furniture like the TV, for example, and the kitchen counters. But what I did like about this one as well is the cliff face has been left exposed. Gives it a little bit of something to break up the modernness, if that makes any sense. We've also got the waterfall on show as well. Again, beautiful looking little feature that's been incorporated into build. I like the inside of this. It is quite small. It's not the most spacious build that I've ever seen. But I'd sooner have that than a big empty mansion with absolutely shag all inside of it. That's not good. That is not a good look. Yeah, Moonlight Cowboy, interior, exterior, location-wise, killed it. Thank you very much for entering this week, my friend. Congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. Okay, then, camp number 4. Jesus Christ, we're on that already. Right, okay, fair enough. This is the Greenzilla Attacks build by Lady H. This is actually one of 2 Godzilla kind of builds that we're going to be showing this week. I know, I don't know what's happening there. Again, random themes popping up on a week-by-week basis. But I ain't mad about it, because it makes for some really crazy and weird builds like this. I mean, why has it been done would be my first question. But it's fun, it's cool, and while the dinosaur did make it stand out to me, the fact that it's a city build is what actually really drew me into this? That's better, yeah. That's what actually drew me into this. You don't see many of them, yeah? But when you do see them, if they're done right, they are awesome. And some of them are dead creative as well, just like Lady H's. Now, there isn't any interiors to look at in this video, unfortunately, at least none that I've seen. But the overall appeal of this build is you know, the dinosaur and the city around it. And there is some detail in that as well, like Lady H could have just whacked down a normal dinosaur, but she's put the ultrasight into the back of it. She's put a smoke machine in its mouth. So there is little details and little bits of love that are scattered through this build. And overall, I think it's cool, I think it's unique as shit, and I think it's fun. And that's why I've put it in the top 5 this week. Lady H, thank you very much for entering. Congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. For camp number 5, we've got something on the total opposite end of the spectrum. We have the Mexican House by Alex P. This is beautiful, and it's also a nice change. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's a clean house, but it doesn't follow the typical clean house kind of vibes. Modern, pre-war. You get what I'm saying, don't you? Now, don't get it wrong, I'm not knocking them kind of builds, despite what some people think. I can actually appreciate them. It's just that so many people follow the same kind of design cues, it's hard to make them stand out. To me, when I'm judging at least, anyway. So to see something that's done a little bit differently, it is nice. I do like that. And I think it actually looks like what Alex is trying to achieve. Now, yes, granted, I've never seen a Mexican house, but I have seen Spanish houses. And you can see some design cues from them. You know, the texture and the colour of the walls, the little courtyard. Just the overall look of the place, if you get what I'm saying. It's a gorgeous looking camp on the outside. I think you've done an excellent job with it, exterior-wise, Alex. No complaints from me whatsoever. I like the little courtyardiness of it as well. You know, the little wall that goes around the outside of it. But yeah, let's take a look on the interior and see what he's come up with in here. Yeah, reasonably well decorated. Again, no complaints from me. Not the most decorated camp I've ever seen, but it's not overly done, which is a bonus. I do like the glass sliding door, though. That's a nice touch. Nice little bit of building trickery there. There's not really much more I can say about this camp. Speaks for itself. Good looking design. Outside of the box. Little bits of trickery involved. The glass door, the split levels, etc. Top notch. Top notch. Can't fault it one bit. Alex, thank you very much for entering this week. Congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. Camp number 6, we have the Sutton Shakedown build by Strata Blaster. And I can't remember if you've ever entered before, bud. Your name looks familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. Let me know down in the comments. So yeah, potential new entrant and new placer in the top 5 here, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Just what we like to see. Right then, so this build. There was a lot of scrappy stuff submitted this week. Yeah? And this one stood out for me for the total opposite reason of what you may think. It doesn't stand out. Let me explain. Out of all the scruffy stuff that was put into the competition, this is by far, in my opinion at least, the most wastelandy and realistic because of how subdued it is, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I'm basically trying to make a conscious effort to look at builds like this in a lot more detail. You know, the ones that don't just scream and shout into your face. And I'm glad that I am doing that, because the more attention I paid to this, the more I could appreciate it. It's nothing mad, but it is very well done. It looks so immersive and so lore-friendly. And just the amount of detail on it, but not overly done detail. Like, they use different textures, for example. Something simple, but makes it look more thrown together. The shape of it is doable. It's a realistic shape. It's the kind of shit you would expect to see a Wastelander throw together. Yeah? Do you get what I'm trying to say to you guys? It's true to Fallout in a nutshell. And I've got no complaints about this exterior. I think it's done extremely well. It reminds me of Jawa 4's kind of builds, actually. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting from it. Top job on the outside of it. Now, the interior for me, incredible. I know some of you don't appreciate scrappy decor and whatnot, but if you do, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. This is just right. An extremely well put together interior. I like the amount of junk. I like the way you've done it. It's great. Overall, a really, really solid build, this Strata Blaster. Not the most technical, by any means, but great. It's just a great build. I really do like it. Finger Blast at Strata Blaster, thank you very much for entering this week, and congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. So for our 7th and final build, and in my opinion, at least, saving the best till last, and for everybody who looked at the thumbnail, yes, it's not clickbait. This is by Yates, and it is the Liberty Prime camp build, and again, a Godzilla for no apparent reason. Yeah, but anyway, I don't even know how to describe this. Let alone know how to put it together. Obviously, a shit ton emerging of floating items, and that's all I've got for you. That's all I've got for you guys. Way beyond my very, very limited knowledge. Christ, it's scary how far camp buildings come now, innit? And this is adventure mode, by the way. We only show adventure mode camps. Wow. Yeah. I don't know. Just enjoy the footage. Just enjoy the footage. I mean, you could say that it's not really a camp, it's more of a spectacle. But I don't care. I don't care. I think it looks cool as penguin piss. And for me, it's more the creativity behind it. Like, knowing what items to use. I've said it a million times. You know what I'm on about, don't you? Yates, it's cool. It's something I don't know how to do. It's something I don't know how to explain. I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for entering this week, pal. And yeah, congratulations on whatever position you find yourself in. Cool as fuck. Cool as fuck, man. Awesome way to round off this week. Right, let's get started with the placements. I'm not even going to bother ranking them this week. They're all 10 out of 10s. Let's just find out what position I would put them in. And by the way, guys, you don't have to agree with me. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know your top 5 and what order they should be in. Anyway, in the number 1 spot for me this week, it's obviously going to be Yates. Need I say any more? Great camp, very clever. And it's just cool. It's just really, really cool. In the second spot for me, it's got to be Radrook's with the Toxic Wasteland bar. Beautifully well designed. Great quality. Immense levels of detail. Awesome build. Number 3 for me this week. Ooh, it's a tough one. I'm going to give it to Moonlight Cowboy. Nice, clean build, but being used in a very clever way in a very cool looking location. Yeah, Moonlight Cowboy, number 3 for me. In the number 4 spot, I'm going to go for Alex P. Again, another gorgeous, clean build in a style that I really do like, a very different style. Easily number 4, any other week would be higher. And in the number 5 spot, I'm going to give it to Lady H for her Godzilla Cityscape. Again, very clever idea, different, stood out to me, and would be much higher on, you know, on a normal, I mean, what is normal on the top 5 anymore. Yeah, great job, Lady H. That leaves in the 2 honourable mention spots, Cowin Baby, and that is literally because it is done in a shelter. That is literally the only reason that is an honourable mention. And Strata Blaster with the Sutton shakedown build. Again, another awesome build. And that, mon petit fleurs, wraps up this week's top 5 camps. Thank you to everybody who entered. Much appreciated, and congratulations to those who actually got in. Now, speaking of people getting into the top 5, remember the big announcement that I was going to make at the beginning of the video? Well, here it is. The top 5 is changing. I see a lot of comments and I get a lot of feedback of, oh, it's always the same builders getting in. The top 5 winners feels like an exclusive club. It's hard for new builders to get in. And you know what? I do get it. I can understand it may be frustrating. And even on a personal level, yeah, I would like to see more builders getting into the competition. You know, mix it up a little bit, get some new blood in there. Which, actually, to be fair, we have done in recent months. So let's not kid ourselves. I can think of 2 right off the top of my head. Cowin Baby, Yates, no, 3, Buddha 2 dope. There's been a few, that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I don't want to, dilute the competition by saying, I don't know, implementing a policy of if you win one week, you can't enter the next week. I think that's a load of bollocks. And I also don't want to pander to all the people who say, oh, it's not fair that the same builders get in because it's a competition. That's how it works. It's not done off merit or bloody who the person's associated with. With that being said, the only solution that I can think of, which will bring more builders to the table, make more people want to enter, and get more camps out there to you guys, would be implementing something that I've wanted to do for a long time, which is a league system. And going forward, that's exactly what we are going to do. It's already set up in the Discord. Basically, we've got 2 leagues. We've got the Pro League, which is going to be Silver Bunnies, Moonlight Cowboy, Alex P's, Lady H, KH Corners. You know, all the well-known established builders in the community. Now, on the other hand, the Beginners League is going to be for, well, beginners or players who are not confident competing against the elite tier builders. And I think that'll be a good thing because some of the builders these days are unreal. It is absolutely insane. Even myself, who's played the game for bloody years, I could not compete in the top tier league. And, you know, I can throw a camp together. I'm not great, but I'm nowhere near the level of some of these guys. So, yeah, a Beginners League, I think, it'd do really well. Now, I will say beginners can submit to the elite tier if they choose to do so. However, the elite builders can't submit into the beginner tier. So yeah, it should be nice and fair. More builders should be able to get seen. And I think it's going to work well. In terms of rules around the top 5, it's all the same. The video release dates are going to be the same. It's just going to be on Saturday will be the elite tier, and on Sunday will be the beginners tier. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. If you want to join up and have a crack yourself, there's a link down in the description to my Discord. And yeah, as we say in the north, I will love you and leave you, and I'll catch you at next one. Have fun, everybody.